Hi there, it's Wednesday, June 24th, time for the daily briefing on KLAM and KCDV. These are heard on the radio in the 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8 p.m. hours, and then they find their home in the archive on our Cordova TV YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Cordova TV. Today is a day for a special city council meeting. And all of the officials that we normally like to talk to for these briefings are all involved in that. You know, the key players in the briefings, Mayor Koplin, you have Dr. Sanders, Kathy Sherman, who is the public information officer, but obviously is also still a member of council. They're all getting ready for the meeting, which actually at the time you're hearing this is underway. If you, by the way, want to hear that meeting, it will be on the city's YouTube channel. It's always on there when it's live, and then they archive those meetings. I would point out, too, that if you missed yesterday's briefing on the news that Cordova had 2 more cases in seafood workers, that is on the YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/Cordova TV. And in that program, we talked to Dr. Sanders and Mayor Koplin and got some firsthand reaction, I guess if you want to call it to that, from some of the key members of our response team to hearing that news. And in summary, it was sort of, didn't sound very surprising to them. They felt like the system is working and that the cases were isolated to within that processor. But again, and I will, by the way, I'm going to do the news release here with the details that came from the PIO. But again, if you're curious what Dr. Sanders thought about it, what the mayor thought about it, yesterday's briefing is on the YouTube channel. So here's what they said, and just to be clear, these are not new cases from the ones that were found yesterday. This is the official news release that came out in case you didn't ever see it or hear it. Once those 2 new positive cases were discovered. And it says the Cordova Medical Response Team and Ocean Beauty have identified 2 additional positive COVID cases found during asymptomatic screening. The individuals are in isolation, as are their close contacts. These, again, are not 2 new ones. These are the same ones from yesterday. Ocean Beauty has a closed campus with a very small number of individuals that go into the Cordova community for groceries and banking needs. We do not have any reason to believe these positive cases pose a risk to Cordova residents at this time. We're in the process of testing all close contacts of the individuals, as well as the small number of employees that interact with the community. Just as with previous cases, these positive test results will not be listed on the state dashboard as Cordova Valdez census area positives. The individuals reside out of state and will be counted in that out-of-state number. We will identify the positives in the Cordova dashboard, though, because they have a section for that if you've been to the city's COVID website. The news release says this time has brought unprecedented change for each of us. It's important to remember to take personal responsibility for our own health, eating healthy, exercising, managing chronic illness, and following COVID guidance will ensure a healthy outcome for you and your loved ones. When more information is available, we will share it with the community. And that again comes from the public information officer, Kathy Sherman, of the incident management team. You can read this for yourself at covid19.cityofcordova.net if you look up News Release 26. And again, these are not new cases today. These are the same ones that were found yesterday. Now, something else we'll do with today's briefing, again, since I'm covering it, is actually go over some of the information that we thought we were going to cover yesterday, and then that news about the new cases came out. By the way, over 1,000 tests have been done, if you've been following those numbers, and you can see how they break down on the city's website. The free drive-up testing is still available Monday and Wednesday from 1 to 3 at Ilanka, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at CCMC. They ask that you call ahead to do the pre-registration, which saves time for everybody. And then there's also the testing out at the airport that's 5 days a week. That happens during the arrival times of Flight 61 and 66 Thursday through Monday. And again, what they've done with that testing is staggered it so that for travelers especially, for whom testing is required if they don't want to have to do 14 days of quarantine, the 2 days that the airport team takes off are days that the testing in town is happening and vice versa. So they have made it so that testing is possible somewhere, primarily, again, for out-of-state travelers every day. Something else in this fact sheet from yesterday regarded the cannery workers and the seafood industry having carefully controlled outings beyond the processor borders. It says lots of folks have been asking about seeing cannery workers outside of their campus. Remember that some cannery workers are locals. At the cannery-owned docks, each cannery has a specific safety plan for operating their docks and interacting with fishermen. Those plans vary depending on the facility. All workers on docks passed a 14-day quarantine and have had a COVID test. In addition, they are given appropriate PPE. Both the workers for the canneries and the tenders are required to be using PPE like masks and gloves. The tenders are either following individual safety plans or the plan their processor put in place. Both the tender and the processor are following state guidelines and have turned in plans to the state as well as the city. And again, those vary with each processor. The only cannery workers that might be on docks not owned by them would be 60 North and Alaska Wild Seafoods. Again, all workers have passed 14-day quarantine, have been tested, are being monitored for symptoms daily, and are wearing PPE as well as following safety protocols. As far as being monitored daily, this would include temperature checks and reporting symptoms. All canneries are taking the COVID situation very seriously, and they conclude this section by saying we can get more information on specific processes if necessary and or regarding a specific processor if there is a facility in question. And then finally for today, reiterate this paragraph that has shown up in these briefings from the public information officer a number of times. Just because we are open doesn't mean the pandemic is over. State officials say the increase in outbreaks serve as a reminder that just because we're open doesn't mean everything's over with, and they continue to urge Alaskans to stay 6 feet or more away from non-family members, wash hands and wipe down frequently touched surfaces frequently, wear a face covering when in public and close to others, stay home if you're sick and get tested for COVID-19 if you're symptomatic, and, of course, be mindful and respectful to seniors and those with existing health issues. That, I presume, is a statement about masks. You know, the continued reminder to not instantly yell at somebody if they're not wearing a mask, which really we shouldn't do anyway. So, with that, we'll wrap this up. Again, sorry to not be able to bring you one of our officials, but again, they're all engaged in council meeting. So, we turned to the documents. Daily briefings are heard in the 1, 5, and 8 p.m. hours on the radio, archived at youtube.com/Cordova TV. Again, if you're particularly curious about the IMT's reaction, or at least some members of the IMT, namely Dr. Sanders and Mayor Koplin, reacting to that news yesterday that 2 new cases had been discovered, we would urge you to listen to the June 23rd episode, youtube.com/Cordova TV. We'll get your regular programming back underway now on The Clam and the Eagle. Thank you again for tuning in.